I'm unsure if you'll hear the sweet hum of the PlayStation 5 downloading a game that exists in the background, so I could have some footage for this, but I went back and forth on whether or not I wanted to cover this story or not. You guys know that I do like doing news videos. My real focus, though, that I want to do with this channel is things like the top fives and the analysis and the, that kind of stuff, where it's like, forgotten games or hey, there's this issue I want to talk about with this game, stuff like that. When it comes to news, I want to be really careful that I don't just report all the news, because at the end of the day, this is just entertainment news. It's fun, it's interesting, but then it kind of goes away and becomes irrelevant. However, with this issue, when it came to Marvel's Avengers, I was somebody who tried to be very, very positive with this game. I tried to give them a lot of benefit of the doubt that the game was going to get better, and I will say that in some ways it has. Overall, though, this game is not at all for me. So, Jay, why are you talking about it? Why are you talking about something you're not passionate about? I think that's a fair question for someone to ask. And the reason for it is a little thing called game preservation. Now, I'm not going to be able to get to this every time that this happens. A pal of mine over on Twitter actually pointed out to me something with this story that was very interesting, which is that, yes, Marvel's Avengers is pretty much shutting down in terms of its updates. There's not going to be any more. And yes, of course, the writing was on the wall for this game for a long time, that eventually it was going to be dropped. There were so many leaked characters that never actually came out, some that did. And of course, there has been the microtransaction hellscape of this game since its launch, and the frustration from the community based on that, and its gameplay loop of basically just fighting robots over and over again and a few humans. But when it comes down to it, the thing that's really interesting to me about this story is that this game is actually going away. And what I mean by that is it's going to be delisted online. So support for this is going to actually end. And one thing that I think is interesting is they did answer some questions on the Avengers Crystal Dynamics website, saying that the support will discontinue on September 30th, 2023. And of course, that the decision was made in conjunction with their partners, that now was the right time to make this change. It's worth noting that, obviously they're going to be working on another Tomb Raider game, I believe, with Amazon, of all places. So I don't know what I think about that. Probably a can of worms for another day, considering who Amazon is. But they did answer some other questions with this, because the game is still going to be playable if you have it. All content that is available for solo play will continue to be available after September 30th, 2023, and multiplayer will still be accessible after support discontinues on September 30th, 2023. But what I will say about this that's interesting is that the game is going to be delisted from digital storefronts. It's going to remain available for purchase digitally between March 31st, 2023 and September 30th, 2023, and at retail while supplies last. No new digital purchases of the game will be available after September 30th, 2023. People did ask if they bought a pre-owned copy of the game on disc after September 30th. I'm saying September 30th, 2023 a lot. Maybe I should just say after support ends. Will they still get the game, be able to play it, get everything? And the answer was yes. It's worth noting that one very good faith thing that is being done with this is that all of the marketplace content, everything purchasable with real money in terms of the skins, like all the MCU skins, all the skins in general, and all of the takedowns and just everything is going to just be given to you. So if you log in, you can just pretty much get all of that, claim it, it's just yours. Whether you buy the game on disc in a year or you buy it right now. But that's the key word, is that after September 30th, after that shutdown, you're no longer going to be able to buy this game digitally. Now, the thing that I thought was interesting about this, maybe it does feel a little bit like cherry picking, because I know there are examples of games that are around forever, but this game has not actually been around that long. It's been around for a few years, and the whole point of digital is supposed to be to preserve these things, right? It's supposed to be your accessibility, your convenience. You don't have to leave home. Maybe you do for work, whatever, but you don't have to leave home to get the game itself. You just go on your console or you go on your PC, you say, hey, I want this game, boom, bang, boom, done. Have the game. It's in your inventory, or basically in your library, I guess I should say, on these different platforms, whether it be Steam or PlayStation or Xbox, and you're good. But once this happens, you can still re-download the game, but you can't buy it again, because you can reinstall it, right? And this is something that we have seen, but you can't buy it digitally new. Now, with a game like this, I will say that one thing that's good is that there are still a ton of copies of this game. And do I personally care a ton about this specific game? You know, like this specific game, did I love it? Am I really torn up about it going away? No. But for me, it's more about the principle that I find interesting, because we've seen this happen a ton of times before. It's becoming very commonplace. And whenever I've talked about digital versus physical, this is something people always bring up to like own. Like, oh, well, Jay, listen, you can always go on there and buy the thing. But then every time that there's games like this, or licensed games like Spider-Man Web of Shadows, you know, like all those old Activision Spider-Man games, or Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2, you know, where like the digital just kind of disappears due to rights issues and it's just gone. Well, too bad. And also, well, too bad is kind of what Crystal Dynamics said about certain things too in this whole in this whole update, which I did want to add in here real quick, and we'll get back to the digital discussion. But it's something that caught my eye while I was talking and scrolling through this. It's kind of funny. After September 30th, if something happens like my save game gets corrupted, who do I contact? And they just straight up said no one. Like, piss off. What they said was, after September 30th, 2023, we will no longer provide support for Marvel's Avengers. So not only will the game no longer be purchasable, but also, if you have a problem with the game, there's no one to contact. Now, again, of course, this still happens, you know, with any game that gets older. And it's kind of funny, too, that refunds will not be available for any of the purchased credits you bought. Now, I will fully admit to you, because I'm sure you'll see an MCU costume or two in here, there were a couple of costumes I bought. For me, now this is the difference between me and just a normal player. I'm just a fan, obviously, but for me, I don't play this game for fun. The only times I ever really played this game was for work. It was for the Let's Play channel, or it was for background footage. So for me, I would buy, you know, like a Thor skin. I think I bought maybe like one MCU Thor skin. I think I bought the one from Love and Thunder, because unlike a lot of people, I actually like that one. I think I bought a MCU Cap skin and a MCU Iron Man skin. And I did that, and then I get to use that as a tax write-off, because I just used it for work. That's the thing. It's like I just bought it, I used it for work, never again. I don't sit around playing Avengers for fun. So for me, that's not really a big deal, because like I already get kind of a refund for that. That's not a flex. I'm just saying I kind of do. I kind of like if you watch these massive Twitch streamers, right, who like spend all day opening FIFA packs or whatever, they write all that off as tax write-offs. So like when you are at home feeling like I should do that, it's like, well, okay, sure, but like that person's pretty much gambling, right? And they get to write all that off into their tax, like income taxes, and you don't. So for everybody else who isn't me, this kind of sucks. Like, for example, if yesterday you broke down, you're like, oh man, I really want those Iron Man MCU skins, whatever, I'll just buy them. Oh, well, now they're going to be free after September. Well, I guess it's after September 30th, or is it after March 31st? You see, that's what confuses me in terms of when the stuff actually becomes free, because I have to keep reading this. Oh yeah, so March 31st. That's when they will make all of the game's marketplace, challenge card, and shipment cosmetic content available to all players for free. So of course that's when it will happen. I'm stupid because I didn't read that date right. But the thing is, for everyone else who did decide to buy something like that, you will not be able to get any of your money back for that. So that's kind of a ridiculous thing in terms of, if you spend your money now, like the people who don't know about this, who are spending their money now on these cosmetics, because there are people like that who don't tune into video game news every day, like, oh man, what's the ESPN of gaming? What's going on with this game today? Like, there's a lot of people who don't do that. They just play games, they go to work, they have a family, that's it, right? And then there's us people who are a special breed of nerd, no offense to you, I'm right there with you, who like to talk about this stuff online and have a fun time with it. A lot of people don't do that, and so because they don't, go out of their way to be super informed on everything, which they really shouldn't even have to do, those people are just going to be sinking money in that they will never get back in the meantime from now until March. I guess you could argue that if you got it months ago, okay, well then you've had months to enjoy it before everyone else. I suppose that's probably the argument. But say you're buying something in February and you just don't know about this. well, you don't get your money back. Like, this stuff could be given out free for right now, right? And I know nobody's entitled to the free stuff. I understand. Like, they didn't have to do that anyway. But my point is, it's bizarre to me that they're picking a date 3 months out. And I really think that the part of that is them thinking, well, how much money will we make off people who don't know about this? Maybe people will hear the game is shutting down, they'll rush to buy stuff like they did with the PlayStation 3 digital game store. I did that too. And now it's still up. And now the whole thing kind of feels like it was almost a fake thing. Like maybe it never was going to shut down. I don't know. It kind of feels like it's almost like encouraging that kind of spending where there's going to be people thinking they won't be able to get this stuff later who go and spend money. And then all of a sudden they get everything for free 2 weeks later, you know? So I really think that that should be given away for free now if you're going to do that. And then, of course, Spider-Man will remain exclusive to PlayStation. But to be honest, most people don't even care because the game is fine. I'm happy for people who enjoy this game a ton. There are people who do. That's great. Really happy for them. I understand there are positive things about the gameplay loop that people enjoy. Overall, this game is not really that much for me. But I did like the cosmetics in it. And I do think it's cool that those are becoming free for people, including me. It will let me get some more footage for things like MCU reviews and stuff like that, since I have to be careful how much of actual movies and games and stuff I show, depending on the copyright system and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's just interesting to me, this whole thing, because I might not have talked about this. I really was on the fence about it, and I think I even said on Twitter the other day, like, I don't really think I want to talk about this. But once one of my pals pointed out to me that this is no longer even going to be available for digital download to buy, unless you already own it, that kind of piqued my interest, because this is something we've talked about on the channel 100 times, about how people will always say that digital is forever, digital preserves these games forever. Sorry, my voice has been going away on and off kind of the last month since I got sick, but I did want to say that the main thing that made me want to talk about this was just my friend pointing out that the digital will no longer be purchasable, because I find that very interesting that there's always all these people who rush out to say like, well, digital's forever, I'll always have this digital, I'll always be able to buy digital, but we start getting into examples here on the channel. James Bond, all those games, digitally delisted. You can't buy them digitally. You have to go find a disc. That's just what you have to do. That's where it exists now. If it was digital only, if it was only available digital, you'd never be able to buy it again. You'd have to go and pirate it and find a way to do that. And it's the same thing with Marvel's Avengers. If there was no disc version of this game and it was only available digital, well, going forward, the only people who would be able to play it are people who bought it in the past. While it's not the best game ever, I still think games deserve to be preserved, and so I am glad that there are discs out there of this game. I actually own one myself on the PS4. And I also find it interesting that they are kind of waiting to make all this stuff free. It does seem tactical and weird. Of course, they can just straight up say like, hey, listen, we don't have to give it away. We're doing this to thank our community, which is what they said. They're doing it to be thankful to their community. And at the end of the day, cool. Good on you. You could just leave the store place up. You could actually price gouge the hell out of it. In fact, you could just crank those prices up. And if anyone ever wants to play as Iron Man 2 Tony Stark, they have to pay $100 for the skin. I don't know who would do it, but you could do that, theoretically. But they're giving it away. It just seems tactical to wait on that, and it seems very interesting that this is yet another example of a game going away that would not exist anymore if there was not a physical of it, unless you had previously bought it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the whole thing with Marvel's Avengers. I know a lot of people are disappointed. They expected this game to continue to get better. I know a lot of people kind of moved on from it a while ago. I am one of them. However, I do still think that games deserve to be preserved, whether they're for me or not. There's plenty of things that are not for me at all that I would not wish on other people to go away because they enjoy them. And this is one of those things. So let me know what you're thinking in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I appreciate you very much. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I want to say a huge thank you to my patrons. I'm going to flash their names here as well. Again, getting flashed by Degenerate J is such an amazing and rare occurrence, so I hope you enjoyed that very, very much. Most people have to pay for OnlyFans for that, but here you go. You're getting it for free. So we'll see you in the next one. Have a fantastic day, and as always, everyone, stay shway.